morning from the beautiful southwest corner of Western Australia. I woke up in the hills around Nannup this morning to this view behind me here, where you can see the fog just rolling through the valley. Can't think of much of a better way to start the day, but the original plan was to go down and shoot a waterfall. As soon as I saw this was happening, I knew I had to capture it, so I've sent the drone up and I'm shooting away with the camera as well, running a time lapse. So I'm just going to finish that up quickly and see if I can still make it down to the waterfall. It's really clear and sunny today, so I don't think I've got much time until the light gets a bit too harsh. So I better get to it, and I'll see you down at the waterfall. So I think I definitely made the right call heading up to the top of the hills to photograph that fog this morning. I have made it down to the waterfall, and as you can probably tell, the light's a little bit harsh. The sun is well and truly up that hill over there, but I'm hoping that that fog that I was photographing is gonna sort of lift up and cover the sun and give me some softer light for a little while. But even if I had have come down to the waterfall first thing, it's pretty amazing how much it has changed here since the last time I visited. And this canopy behind me here, you might be able to make out all these dead pine trees, which look really awesome, but they used to all be alive, and it used to be a thick canopy, and it was really nice and shady down here in the falls, and it's just completely changed. There's obviously been a fire through here. But as well as that, the actual waterfall itself is so overrun by blackberry and some other weeds that you can't see it anymore. It's sort of hidden behind all of the vegetation, so I can't really get the shot that I was after anyways. I'm going to try my best and see what I can come up with. There's a little cascade down here that I'll show you in a second that I think that might work, getting some of the purple Hardenbergia flowers in the foreground for that, and just going for something completely different than what I came here for. You've got to adjust, I guess, when you're out here taking photos, just adapt to the conditions. So I'll head down there. It's pretty steep, so fingers crossed, no injuries. There we go. Well, I made it down here into the creek in one piece, but I'm not going to celebrate too soon because I've still got to get back out. I'm just shooting this little waterfall here. Just as I had hoped, the fog started to sort of lift up and give me some nice soft overcast light for a little while. So I've been taking some photos in here, just using these logs and the blackberry in my foreground. Pretty different to the sort of stuff that I've done before, but I've been wanting to do some real sort of close-up landscape photography for quite a while now, and this is my opportunity. The light has the fog has sort of disappeared now, so it's getting a bit too harsh, and I'm going to pack up and try and make my way back up this hill. I'm sure you can probably get the idea of how tough it is to get through this sort of stuff. Look at these vines here. So this is so thick and you can't even see the ground. It's pretty much vertical as well. So I've got to get back up onto that log there and try and make my way up this hillside. So as you can probably imagine, not too many people will be that keen to get down here, but I'm glad I've got some photos and hopefully I don't have to come back again. So just on my way back up from that little waterfall, I found the actual spot that I went there to shoot. I kind of just figured that the main waterfall had been covered in all of the vines and that sort of thing and was no longer there. But I took a little bit of a detour on the way back up out of the valley, and I did find it. I wouldn't have been able to shoot it anyways because down below is way too overgrown. So there's a little bit of cloud cover coming in the distance there, and once that's here I'm just going to send the drone down the valley, and hopefully you'll be able to get a little bit of an idea of how steep and slippery that little trail was. Well, it's not really a trail, but just the way into the falls that I was just shooting. The last few days have been pretty busy out here, but that bit of sunshine this morning gave me some time to rest up and catch up on some things. And it's now about midday. The clouds come rolling back in, even had just a little sprinkle of rain just then. So I'm heading back out into the forest for some more waterfall chasing. So the spot that I'm heading out to now is one that I actually found when I was down here in summer. I came down to Nannup because my partner was working, and while she was off doing that, I decided to come out here bushwalking and see if I could find any spots to come back to in the winter. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. So I'm just approaching the waterfall now, and it's only a small one, but it's flowing really well and it's really nice and photogenic. It's actually surrounded by all of the natural bush here, which much of the Nannup waterfalls are just in the pine plantations and surrounded by weeds. It's actually a bit of an environmental disaster, but this one here, I think the surroundings make up for the lack of size. It's actually quite hard to get down to, so straight ahead of me, probably about 10-15 meters away, but it's just really thick bush, so I remember struggling to get down there last time. I think as stunning as this little waterfall is, it's going to be a bit tricky to photograph. The pool below is actually quite deep, and I think I'm gonna have to get in there to get the angle of this that I want, because up on the edge here, it's sort of looking at it side on and you can't really see the width of it at all. So I guess I better jump in and test the depth before I put my camera in there. It's gonna be cold. That was a little bit of a frustrating experience, if I'm being completely honest. So the best angles were definitely from down there in the water, so I'm glad I jumped in. I got a couple of shots and it was nice and overcast, but it didn't take long for the sun to start coming out again, which is fine. I'm happy to wait. But then my lenses all started fogging up, or my polarizing filter fogged up. Then the actual camera lens on the inside underneath the polarizing filter fogged up, and I was just battling that constantly, and I don't know why it's fogging up, because the camera's been out in this sort of temperature for a while, so it shouldn't really been doing that, but it was, and it made it really, really tricky to shoot. So in the end, I've sort of given up. Okay, I'm ready to go on my last little Nannup waterfall adventure for this trip. Go back down to Pemberton tomorrow to run another workshop, so this will be the last shoot for me, and then I'll just be sorting my crap out tomorrow so I can get organised for that. But I've just parked off into the bush a little way and I'm going to start trekking up the creek here. Fingers crossed the waterfall is actually flowing, because there's not a whole heap of water on this side of the hills at the moment, and I've only seen this one flowing a little teeny bit before, so we'll see how we go. I'm gonna give it a shot anyways, and fingers crossed we'll get some more photos. If not, I'm pretty happy with what I've got today anyways, so yeah, see you up there. I reckon this right here has got to be one of the most stunning little creeks in the entirety of the Darling Range. The gully is just so steep and narrow down here, and even though the creek's not exactly pumping, it's just got a nice gentle flow on it, and it's just so lush and green down here with these big mossy boulders, as you can see over there. Nearly at the waterfalls now, so I'll keep pushing on and then grab the camera out. So here we are at the main little waterfall of this gully. It's actually a fairly decent size and it's very pretty. Like I said, I haven't actually seen it flowing very hard, but I've never timed my visits here perfectly, so I'd love to find the time to get back down here immediately after some heavy rain hit the area. But as I mentioned earlier in the video, the showers earlier this week have sort of just been going around Nannup. So Pemberton got smashed, I think further north of here got smashed as well, but Nannup itself didn't get a whole lot of rain. but that's all good. A nice gentle flow will do for me. And just have a look at all this mossy goodness all around it. You can tell not many people visit this one because of how much moss is on the rocks, and if people came here often, they'd be walking all over that and it would die off, it'd be gone. So this is a good reason to keep things a bit of a secret. So if you find this place yourself, look after it and just make sure that you're leaving it in as good a shape as it was when you got there. Just be careful about who you tell about this sort of thing as well, because you never know, it might just get ruined and it will never be the same again. So the first shot that I'm going to have a go at is just going to be using this mossy rock here and getting up really close to it and using that as my foreground interest and making that sort of just as much of a feature of the shot as the waterfall itself. Because it's not flowing that much, I think it's going to be good to include a lot of the surroundings. So I'll carefully set my tripod up here and see if we can put that one in the bag. How many of you were hoping that I fell off that log just then? Be honest. I've just moved upstream to the next little cascade, which is this lovely little multi-tiered one. At first I thought the log in front of it was going to be sort of a hindrance, but now I think it actually helps the composition. So this is my shot here. I'll show you the back of the camera. Sit there. Maybe a little bit brighter, and boom. See how that turns out. I think I did pretty well down the bottom there, and I've just swapped over lenses to something with a little bit more zoom on it and come up to the top. Quickly just going to finish this shot up and then I'll head back down to that one for one last shoot before packing up and heading back to the car. I just had to get down to the first waterfall for one more shot. I'm really liking how this is looking with the cascade on this side and then the one up here and that nice big tree up the top there. I think it should be a good shot, but the light's fading pretty quickly, so I'm going to sign off here. Just want to say, if you've gotten this far in my little video, thank you so much for watching. I'm very new to this whole talking to the camera thing, so any feedback, I'd really appreciate that. And also let me know if you want to see more of this sort of thing, because it's definitely a whole lot more effort than if I was just out shooting, doing my thing and not documenting it. So I'd really appreciate if you'd let me know if it's actually worth my time doing it. See you next time, if there is a next time.